Hello, my name is Elise Muller and I live in Muskoka, Ontario. I am a stone sculptor. My studio is called Stone Tree Studio. I was a sculptor in residence at Kira in June 2017 and I had a great time. Situation here is that we've been in lockdown for about a month and trying to stay busy, do creative things, read books, start seeds for the garden and stuff like that. Today I want to show you how to make a maquette. A maquette is a small sculpture used as a reference for a bigger sculpture. Because I carve stone, I like to carve plaster maquettes because it's a similar process. It's a reductive, you're taking away from the block of stone, you're taking away from a block of plaster. So for example, I have this plaster maquette and you can see in the background over there, there's a brown alabaster sculpture that I did that's a larger version of this. So that's what we're going to be doing today. These are the materials that you need. This is going to be for mixing the plaster and water in to get the shape that you're then going to be carving. Okay, you sort of need about like 4 parts plaster to 2 or 3 parts water. But you don't want to use your mom's or your measuring cups because plaster is hard to clean up. So if you have something that you could use to measure like an old yogurt container, like a small yogurt container or something, that might be helpful. Anyway, what I'm going to do is pour the water. I'm going to say we need about, like about that much water. We can always add more water if it seems like we need to. Then we're going to put our dust mask on because we're going to be pouring plaster. Okay, so you're gonna mix it really well. It kind of looks like milk in the milk bag, doesn't it? That's funny. All right, so you kind of want to make it a similar shape to what your maquette's gonna be. So if you wanted it rectangular, you would get that kind of rectangular shape. Or if you wanted it flatter and more of a square, you can just move the shape till it's the shape you want for your sculpture. I'm gonna go with something like that. And so then I would take the clothes pegs, got your clothes pegs on there, and I'm gonna let this set. I do this with stone too. I look at the shape and it might inspire me to do something. It might have an interesting shape. So I'm not sure whether this is going to be an abstract or something that's more realistic, like a fish or a bird or a person. So you can decide with your maquette, it can be whatever you want it to be. There's no rules. This is where if you come up with an idea, you could like draw on it with your chopstick to guide you, or you could use a crayon to do that. Okay, so that's sort of a twisted knot shape that I'm interested in. And I'm gonna you can just take your knife, or this is where you could also use your hacksaw to cut it off. I would use a hacksaw with the softer stones like alabaster. So that worked out really well. How does it work with a knife? Let's see. Oh yeah, that works out great too. It actually snapped off. Put some pressure on it and it snapped right off. So whatever you have at home, you can use. You'll get the bigger shapes off first. See, it's really satisfying taking these big clumps off. And you can also cut into it like that. Okay, so you're taking off all the pieces that you don't need. When you're doing like a big block of stone, you can use your chisels and a mallet and like remove big pieces of stone that way too. Let's see, so I've started to get more of the shape that I like. I'm just gonna dump what I don't need in here so it's not in the way on my plate. Okay. And with sculpture too, you have to remember like what's going on the other side too. So you have to make sure you don't remove something you need on the other side. Might take the chopstick again. And I know that this is going to come around here. This comes in front. That goes behind. All right. Okay, so now I sort of know what's happening on the other side too. So can work like that. The chopstick is also good for like digging it out, like in the holes. See, those are supposed to be holes. So I'm just gonna dig it out like that. Oh yeah, and because the plaster is still pretty soft, it's a great time to be working on it. It's very easy to work with. And it's a good practice for working on a bigger piece. I don't know if you can sort of see how I'm starting to get into those holes. So there's a chisel that I should have brought in with me, but it's a pointy chisel, and you can remove a lot of stone with the point just by hitting it with the mallet and removing it with the point. And this chopstick is actually working like really well like that. So as you can see, it takes longer than this video is going to be. Maybe it'll be sped up, but I probably wouldn't use these tools until the plaster is hardened up a lot. So like once it's set, the plaster gets quite hard. This is an example of one that I did, but I haven't actually like smoothed it out or anything. So maybe I'll show you the next step. So first you get the shape you want. Then once you have the shape, you can take kind of rasps you have and you can use them. You do this with stone too, to take away the tool marks, to smooth it out. You make sure you're wearing your mask, and yeah, you're just gonna go like that. Like the round ones are good for getting into like these parts, and you can like use the round rasp like this. It's very helpful. You can get into spots like in here, like that. There's little ones that you can use for the smaller areas. Then what you can do, and once it's hard, again, you can use the sandpaper with your mask because it's very dusty. And I'm gonna hold it so you can see. You're gonna go like that and get those marks off. You see how it gets nice and smooth? That's what it's like when you sand stone as well. You can get it nice and smooth. So obviously it takes a lot of time to get it all smooth. Sometimes there's areas that you want contrast and you think, okay, it would be nice to have some of it rough. a rough texture. And it's a nice contrast between the smooth and rough. So you can do something like that. And, or you might choose like this one is all nice and smooth. So you can do that too. Well, I hope you had a great time making a plaster maquette. Thanks for joining me on Kira's Creative Quarantine. Just remember to stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, and try and do something creative every day. It'll help. Okay, best wishes. Take care.